program in the IT journey of the entire state.
Ellarigu namaskara. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Nino and wish you a very warm good evening. I am really excited to welcome you all to the launch of Innovate Karnataka.
We were the first to craft the IT policy for the country. So a lot of people were the other states were quite shocked or quite surprised that is Karnataka jumping into the game way before the technology itself is being adapted by the country. The India's first IT policy. Because of those policies, today we are leaders in IT-enabled services. Ecosystem in Bengaluru, in the state of Karnataka, contributes 40.4% of the entire earnings. And that's roughly translates to around 3 lakh crores. So it's taken us less than 20 years to get where we are here in IT-enabled services. Today, because of the then disruptive policies, we were able to come here being leaders in IT-enabled services, being leaders in R&D, being #1 in India. But is that enough? Are we happy with that? Is the government of Karnataka happy with being #1 in India? Definitely we are not. How can we be global leaders? We cannot do anything as disruptive as the private sector, but yes, we will make changes step by step. So we wanted to listen to the stakeholders. We wanted to understand from the industry stakeholders, what is it that we need to change? What is it that we need to define so that we become global leaders? And we need to ensure that we talk the language of the industry as well. We need to predict future trends as well. Our constant conversations with the industry stakeholders has led us to change our minds to be both creative and disruptive in our approach, to reposition ourselves as torchbearers for emerging technologies and entrepreneurship in the global arena. India's only Center of Excellence in IoT is run by the government of Karnataka past year and a half. We are also running the Center of Excellence in aerospace. We have also signed up for a Center of Excellence in artificial intelligence, machine learning and big data. Of course, animation and gaming is on our top priority, cyber security, and more importantly, agri-tech also. Because now we see technologies disrupting across sectors. So how do I ensure we have technology in agriculture also? So from lab to farm, farm to plate, how do I ensure that seamlessly is something that we are also looking at? And I was quite surprised myself when we saw that out of the 1,700 applications that we received during our 1100 program, 450 were there from the rural areas, from the tier 2 towns. And 300 of them were from women entrepreneurs. So today, ladies and gentlemen, the real reason why you are here is for you to understand what the government intention is for you. So today we are going to we are going to let go of what we have been doing so far, and we are going to change ourselves in a new avatar. We are going to come out, as you people say, the Industrial Revolution 4 is here. So is the department version 4 is here as well. So today onwards, we are going to be called as the Department of Innovation and Technology. And the Innovate Karnataka will be more agile, more focused. It will be on a mission mode under the Department of Innovation and Technology. And this department will lead the country in emerging technologies and entrepreneurship to make our country a global hub and leader for future technologies.
The Innovate Karnataka logo.
To promote startups in the state, an incubation center will be established in Kalburgi in association with Deshpande Foundation at the cost of ₹5 crores. To promote hardware equipment and semiconductor chip design and development, Semiconductor Fabless Accelerator Lab will be established with the Association of India Electronics and Semiconductor Association, ISA. An Agro Innovation Center will be set up in association with Center for Cellular and Molecular Platforms, CCAMP, a Government of India organization, in order to encourage and nurture promising innovations in the agriculture sector. To encourage innovations in different areas in the state, Karnataka Innovation Authority will be established under the chairmanship of the Honorable Chief Minister. It is proposed to launch new programs to encourage the development of manufacturing sector, protection of intellectual property rights, especially keeping in mind development institutions, entrepreneurs and startups.
everybody who's going to be employed gainfully in this project. It's a 30 crore project, as one learns from the Minister, and many congratulations.
So today when I hear that, we are bringing innovation to the forefront, it gives us courage, it gives us strength, and I think it's in the right direction. So inspiration from science, thrust on innovation, and fueling growth through technology, that is my first point. So we should give a big round of applause to the Karnataka government for taking those steps.
Through your interventions and through your feedback, we are able to work on our programs and try to make them better. Bangalore, as we all know, is listed as one of the top tech cities. We are definitely there in the first 10 to 20 cities in the world. We look forward to a further journey ahead in the path of innovation and technology.
Significant program in the IT journey of the entire state.
Ellarigu namaskara. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Nino and wish you a very warm good evening. I am really excited to welcome you all to the launch of Innovate Karnataka.
We were the first to craft the IT policy for the country. So a lot of people were the other states were quite shocked or quite surprised that is Karnataka jumping into the game way before the technology itself is being adapted by the country. India's first IT policy. Because of those policies, today we are leaders in IT-enabled services. Ecosystem in Bengaluru, in the state of Karnataka, contributes 40.4% of the entire earnings. And that's roughly translates to around 3 lakh crores. So it's taken us less than 20 years to get where we are here in IT-enabled services. Today, because of the then disruptive policies, we were able to come here being leaders in IT-enabled services, being leaders in R&D, being #1 in India. But is that enough? Are we happy with that? Is the government of Karnataka happy with being #1 in India? Definitely we are not. How can we be global leaders? We cannot do anything as disruptive as the private sector, but yes, we will have to make changes step by step. So we wanted to listen to the stakeholders. We wanted to understand from the industry stakeholders, what is it that we need to change? What is it that we need to define so that we become global leaders? And we need to ensure that we talk the language of the industry as well. We need to predict future trends as well. Our constant conversations with the industry stakeholders has led us to change our minds to be both creative and disruptive in our approach, to reposition ourselves as torchbearers for emerging technologies and entrepreneurship in the global arena. India's only center of excellence in IoT is run by the government of Karnataka past year and a half. We are also running the center of excellence in aerospace. We have also signed up for a center of excellence in artificial intelligence, machine learning and big data. Of course, animation and gaming is on our top priority. cyber security, and more importantly, agri-tech also. Because now we see technology is disrupting across sectors. So how do I ensure we have technology in agriculture also? So from lab to farm, farm to plate, how do I ensure that seamlessly is something that we are also looking at? And I was quite surprised myself when we saw that out of the 1,700 applications that we received during our 1100 program, 450 were there from the rural areas, from the tier 2 towns. And 300 of them were from women entrepreneurs. So today, ladies and gentlemen, the real reason why you are here is for you to understand what the government intention is for you. So today we are going to change we are going to let go of what we have been doing so far, and we are going to change ourselves in a new avatar. We are going to come out, as you people say, the Industrial Revolution 4 is here, so is the department version 4 is here as well. So today onwards we are going to be called as the Department of Innovation and Technology. And the Innovate Karnataka will be more agile, more focused. It will be on a mission mode under the Department of Innovation and Technology. And this department will lead the country in emerging technologies and entrepreneurship to make our country a global hub and leader for future technologies.
The Innovate Karnataka logo.
Here we are today at the threshold of what could be history to identify opportunities and challenges for the use of blockchain technology in governance. So when we
to promote startups in the state, an incubation center will be established in Kalburgi in association with Deshpande Foundation at the cost of rupees 5 crores. To promote hardware equipment and semiconductor chip design and development, Semiconductor Fabless Accelerator Lab will be established with the Association of India Electronics and Semiconductor Association ISA. An Agro Innovation Center will be set up in association with Center for Cellular and Molecular Platforms, CCAM, a Government of India organization, in order to encourage and nurture promising innovations in the agriculture sector. To encourage innovations in different areas in the state, Karnataka Innovation Authority will be established under the chairmanship of the Honorable Chief Minister. It is proposed to launch new programs to encourage the development of manufacturing sector, protection of intellectual property rights, especially keeping in mind development institutions, entrepreneurs and startups.
In a place where we are foremost in the disruptive technology space today.
Everybody who's going to be employed gainfully in this project. It's a 30 crore project, as one learns from the Minister, and many congratulations.
It's like a 400-level graduate course where prerequisites are economics, game theory, computer science, geography. So much that we need to understand. And it's challenging our notion of institutions to the extent that people wonder, do you need math? Government involved in so many things that is involved in today. Can supply chains work without central intermediaries and so on and so forth? One of the things that we keep hearing again and again is blockchain is good, cryptocurrencies are bad. Right? The government is very open to blockchain, but this cryptocurrency nonsense, no.
So today when I hear that, we are bringing innovation to the forefront, it gives us courage, it gives us strength, and I think it's in the right direction. So inspiration from science,
so that I don't abuse that
trust on innovation, and fueling growth through technology. That is my first point. So we should, give a big round of applause to the Karnataka government for taking those steps.
And different cryptocurrencies have different applications. Some which are used as a store of value.
Through your interventions and through your feedback, we are able to work on our programs and try to make them better. Bangalore,
I think
as we all know, is listed as one of the top tech cities. We are definitely
speaking about the applications of blockchain in their country. Barlos is the blockchain program officer of the Dutch government.
To get where we are.
She has herself initiated over 36 pilots of blockchain applications in the Netherlands. Mr. Sakhr Irikat, he is blockchain evangelist with IBM Dubai, and IBM, as we know, is a core partner in Dubai's blockchain story. From the Indian perspective, we welcome Mr. Alek Sharan of the Niti Aayog. And I finally welcome the chair of our panel, Mr. Guru Maladi, senior partner at Ernst & Young, and he leads the firm's efforts on emerging technologies.
Although I've been dealing with this for 2.5
what is it that we need
people
to
try
change?
to introduce
What is
me
it
as a
that we need
blockchain
to
expert,
define so that we become global leaders? And we need to ensure
the only
that
thing
we
that I
talk the
see
language
when
of the
reading more
industry
about
as well.
this
We
is
need to
that
predict future
anything I
trends
do
as well.
can be thrown
Our
out
constant
within
conversations
without
with the industry stakeholders
if you
has
don't
led us to change our
read
minds to
into
be
this
both
more
creative and disruptive in our approach, to reposition ourselves as torchbearers for emerging technologies and entrepreneurship in the global arena. India's only center of excellence in IoT is run by the government of Karnataka past year and a half. We are also running the center of excellence in aerospace. We are also we have also signed up for a center of excellence in artificial intelligence, machine learning and big data. Of course, animation and gaming is on our top priority. Cyber security and more importantly, agri-tech also. Because now we see technologies disrupting across sectors. So how do I ensure we have technology in agriculture also? So from lab to farm, farm to plate. How do I ensure that seamlessly is something that we are also looking at? And I was quite surprised myself when we saw that out of the 1,700 applications that we received during our 1100 program, 450 were there from the rural areas, from the tier 2 towns.
And then we try to figure out
300
how
of them were from women entrepreneurs. So today, ladies and gentlemen, the real reason why you are here is for you to understand what the government intention is for you. So today we are going to change we are going to let go of what we have been doing so far, and we are going to change ourselves in a new avatar. We are going to come out, as you people say, the Industrial Revolution 4 is here, so is the department version 4 is here as well. So today onwards we are going to be called as the Department of Innovation and Technology, and the Innovate Karnataka will be more agile, more focused. It will be on a mission mode under the department ownership.
Lab. It is proposed to bring in mind development.
I think join in a while, but great to see all my friends today. I think, you know, from both sides, they're my best friends who are on my panel, and I feel really not only fortunate but also lucky that I will be moderating this session. So during the first half of the event, we have seen a lot of people in terms of dignitaries who have blessed us and who are part of the session. But my main thinking is that these are the people who are making business. These are the people who are creating economy for this country. And that's why it will be a pleasure to speak to them and to see that, you know, how we can enforce the whole thinking about creating this whole opportunity. Talking about Pritika, Pritika has been, you know, when I met her a couple of years back, she really has impressed me with her product, the way she has worked in the whole thinking of cosmetics and fashion and other things. So as an entrepreneur, as a young entrepreneur, I'm very fortunate to know you, and also fortunate to see that you're doing great business here. Anuja, you know, from a fashion, I can say diva, from a model to creation of a lot of fashion brands, and also a blogger and writer. Anuja is great in what she's doing as a human being, as an entrepreneur. I think, Anuja, great. Thank you so much. You have always supported us in Think Big and also in Wow today. And we also really feel that, you know, it will be a great to learn from you and see how things are. Pooja, avid writer, traveler, she promotes tourism and a very close friend. And I feel that, you know, we need more people like Pooja who go to different places, far-flung places, look at those spaces and also come back and then tell people their stories, and she's really a story writer. Also my class fellow from school, created history in this country. Why? Because what he has done is he has created not only a fashion brand which he supplies to large Indian fashion companies, but also he runs microbreweries. And starting with in Bangalore, which is Hoots, a lot of my young crowd will know, but also in Delhi, and he has plans to start new Hoots in various parts of India. So I think I'm very honored today to have you as such. Starting from, Pooja, when you talk about the whole tourism sector, because if you look at tourism, is bringing a lot of foreign exchange for India, including, if you will be really surprised to know that Bihar gets 9 million visitors only for Bodh Gaya. And also a state like Bihar gets so much of foreign currency for this country. So tourism as such is very for the thinking or the foreign reserves for us, but also to see that, how should we promote that. And Pooja, from your perspective, I want to know that, one, why are we not in a position to promote tourism? That's one. Because if you look at, I compare India with Thailand or other countries, I don't see so many tourists coming in. That's my first part of the question. Second part of the question is, how should we promote? The whole promotion can be done, and India can attract and become the tourist destination of the world. Two questions.
That's a valid question, Parul. I think, So I think the reason why many people are not coming to India is primarily the safety issue. Recently, I was reading an article in Huffington Post that placed India as #1 amongst the most unsafe, risky, dangerous places, right after Peru. So it was India #1, Peru #2, Mexico #3, and so on. So I guess safety and security is a big concern that needs to be addressed. So if we actually do that, and of course, how you bring in more tourists is basically telling stories of foreigners, etc., who backpack to the country independently as single solo travelers. Maybe as a group, they can then vouch, because India personally, I would like to believe, is a safe place. But of course, mishaps happen. Mishaps even happen in other countries overseas. But to brand India as a tourist, non-friendly country, that needs to change. And I think the government, together with state, has to do. The central government, together with the state, has to fix this issue together, because security is primary concern for everyone. So even if security is a primary concern, other thing also becomes, say, the affordability. So in India, if we have the time to travel, say, for a week, we will maybe look at a destination like a Dubai or a Thailand as compared to maybe going up north to Kashmir or maybe Kerala, because that to everybody's pocket is expensive. It is seen as slightly intimidating, planning expensive travel to Kerala as compared to spending the same amount of money in about 2 weeks in Thailand or in Dubai or even in Singapore for that matter. So yes, these are the perceptions that we as individuals need to change to better this sector.
Yeah. So great, Pooja. I think what you're bringing in two aspects. One is safety and security, not only for women, but also for men.
Yes, absolutely.
I sometimes feel when I'm traveling in India in the night, sometimes I feel very, very threatened.
Yes,
it's not that on your face, but the whole feeling of safety, security, internalizing the whole safety, security, that's the aspect which you are saying.
Absolutely.
The second is, I think what I'm getting from you is the ecosystem.
Yes.
The ecosystem which should help in creating the demand and supply to have that.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
So Tarun, from your perspective, and you are in the right business, I can tell you, because where you interact with the youth, you interact with a lot of, both men and women, young, corporate, coming to your microbrewery for having great time. I'll not say what, in terms of great time, and to see that, how they should come and be with friends and talk and all that. What do you, from your perspective, is that from what she said, safety, security, what are you getting out of it, saying that are people really scared, or are they really concerned about safety, security? Because from the microbrewery perspective, they have to have that kind of thinking about safety if they are coming and having a good time there.
Parul, there's been a lot of talk about how the security is there in India. It's a big concern globally, you know, and we have been labeled that our country is not so safe as other countries are. But when you look at, I mean, I've been into hospitality for a couple of years, and I've been running it successfully at quite a few cities in India. Yes, there is a concern when it is late night and when, I mean, you have to go after 12 o'clock. There is a bit concern. But that is because, you know, there has been a lot of mishaps which has happened, and which has been projected by our media like it is a big thing. I mean, that's because, you know.
So you are saying that it is also the perception which have been created.
Yes,
that's one.
Yes.
The second is also from your perspective now, if you are taking Hoots to the next level, you know, 10 new Hoots as a brand coming up in next 10 big cities. So how are you looking at this from the concern if she is traveling and she is a single traveler, for example? How you mitigate it? You know, mitigate it in terms of, you know, messaging.
I mean, I think, you know, the messaging has always been clear that now that the hospitality has grown leaps and bounds in India, you know, there are so many restaurants and hotels coming up, and people are coming up, people are going out more. So there is a concern, but at the same time, people want to go out and have a nice time, and you cannot have so many places that people are not feeling safe, you know. It is just that, you know, we need to change the perception. If you change the perception.
So messaging is important.
Yes.
That is how we portray India and how we look at India from a perspective, from outside view as such, because it's what, you know, also Pooja said, that we are one of the dangerous destinations if you, from
and
the,
we
from
are
the
not,
survey.
You know, we are, yeah.
But I was shocked to see India is #1 after Peru and Mexico. Like really.
So I think this is also, you know, we have to really work towards it, that, you know, how should we get the tag?
Exactly.
Because, yeah. Okay, so from Anuja, from your perspective, like you have worked as an individual, as a, you know, a brand, I'll say as a fashion brand. How do you see from the tag as to say unsafe? Do you really feel unsafe?
Yes, of course. In fact, I don't know if I'm supposed to compare or not, but definitely south of India is much safer than north of India, because I am from there, and now I am settled very much in Bangalore for almost over 10 years. So, but I want to Banaras and the silk and the stuff and the culture. But many people told me that it doesn't. I mean, it might be difficult because it's a place where there's so many streets and where you know. So tourism is one thing which is curtailed because of security and safety of women. One, and I think lack of education is again very big thing.
So what you're saying is, from what I'm hearing, and you know the people are also hearing, is that there is sense of insecurity. One. The second is that that's also leading to a drop in tourism as such, and also hospitality, because tourism and hospitality are very, very related, you know, topics as such. Yeah. But, you know, coming to, I'm just tweaking in to say that, you know, from tourism and hospitality, for example, what we were discussing is that why in India nobody has created a fashion brand which is really Indian and which is making the charts abroad. I'm not talking about, you know, jewelry or other things. Indians are, you know, done quite a fashion.
Probably don't believe in,
you know, good places to stay. We have not developed those kind of things. And
you're talking about either have luxury lifestyle, so it is available to only select few. But when you come to the middle class level, we need much more. I mean, the hospitality industry definitely needs to do more on that level too.
Yeah.
What happens that in luxury sector, definitely everything is available. You are perfectly safe, and you get the best. Yeah. Also, I would say that the perception of people overall is, when you look at the lower middle class, or I mean, the poor section of society, they're very nice and they're very welcoming, very warm people. Basically, sometimes they're mistaken also because they are in awe of people like who they don't see often. So, but they are definitely good people in India. The problem lies in the pseudo-intellectual, critical sort of people.
Yeah. So I think, I'll now go to Pritika, because Pritika has created a brand. And I'm really proud of you, Pritika. And I'm also, a kind of a brand ambassador for you. I'm also talking to a lot of people and applying your creams, so it's like, it's really, I promote your brand. So I think, Pritika, from your perspective, when you came into the business of fashion or luxury skincare, I'll say, that's important to say, because you are now giving a run for buck for, to Forest Essential. And so how you feel that, one, when you created a brand, that's the first thing, what are the problems you faced, and when now the brand is made, how are you promoting that brand? I'm a bit different question, but it's related to tourism and hospitality, because we need your kind of brand, a luxury brand, to really see how people should use it. And I want you to go abroad and really work. Indian brand, yes, but also exporting your brand.
Okay, Parul, I'll answer this in 3 parts.
Yeah.
Okay, the first one, when I launched my brand, the first was at hospitality. That was like my first go factor. So the first client of mine was Serai Resorts, the Coffee Day group. So I was new. Nobody knew the brand except me, of course. But the fact is that they gave me a retail shelf and said, okay, this is an Indian brand, so let's keep an Indian brand there. And for a nobody to a super luxury resort was like an amazing thing to do. So that was my entry point into hospitality industry. And then people started buying it. Then after that, my first corporate client came from that. That was Intel. So the Intel vice president stayed at Serai, used my shower gel, and came searching for my office saying, get this brand to my company.
Wow.
So that's how my company grew. My third client was JW Marriott, and trust me, it wasn't easy. I went 3 years to JW Marriott every weekend, go meet the spa director and say, because even today, they have Aromatherapy Associates, which is from UK, and it's a 20-year-old brand. They have like Talgo. And then this guy was like, give me time. So 3 years, ardently, I would go sit with him, eat his head, and then he gave me my first order. And I told him, like, dude, you add 2 more zeros, that was my auto fare to come to meet you every time. But today, I'm the only vendor for JW Marriott across India.
That's why she, we have traveled to US together, and I've been really talking about Pritika, and if you use her brand, I'm telling you, you will not use any other thing, because that's what she has really created, and it's not expensive. And she has just started her signature store in Bangalore.
It's at 1MG Mall.
Yes, so you'll know what luxury she's talking about. Yeah.
So coming from that, now to the second part of the question, the next entry point for me was Government of Karnataka, which was KSTDC. The moment we say KSTDC, we all think of rundown hotels, bad toilets, bad bed. Like, nobody even considers it because it's 900 rupees room rent. And then I went and met Mr. Pushkar. I think he was also part of this.
Yeah.
So that man actually wanted to promote Karnataka tourism, and we are not really cheap, but we kind of tried to keep it 100% chemical-free products, and he was willing to make that investment to put it into KSTDC rooms because he wanted Karnataka tourism to grow. And today we supply to all the 20 resorts in KSTDC. So the thing is, it's the initiative of the government. Like, they were willing to take that step to promote Karnataka. So I think that comes from a government level, apart from a vendor like me. The third part to what you said, internationally, even today, when I say Indian Ayurveda brand, nobody gives me an appointment. I am not kidding on this. I supply to Ritz-Carlton, I supply to Conrad, JW. I have the best clients currently from the Marriott group, and I'm kind of proud to say that. But still, like, I was in Dubai. I mean, he knows I just came back yesterday. But the first time I asked for an appointment in Dubai, they said, Indian brand, sorry, we don't want. Like, they're upfront on my face. And then I have a Middle East distributor, and then he came, and then I got an appointment. After they touch and feel the product, they're okay about it. But the moment you say India, Ayurveda, okay, it's a cheap product, it's okay for healing, it's okay for therapy, but we will not use it on an everyday basis. So that's a mindset that people have about India. Second, I also think Indians as such, see, when we go abroad, what do we say? We're like, oh, our country is not like this. We don't have this. Because we are only putting ourselves down. Forget somebody else coming and thinking about it. I mean, I'm not saying it's not there. And I have traveled about 25 countries in my life, and I'm saying this. Of course, we have our own weaknesses, but which country doesn't? And we are the first ones to put our country down, and we'll be like, oh my God, this is not there in our country. Why is this not there? I mean, we create it, right? Like, you create your own house. Your third person doesn't come and create it for us. So I think it's the way we project our country. Like, when I was in London, it's very weird, okay? I don't want to name the client. The client asked me, do you have Apple phones in India? I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, most of the Apple software engineers are Indians. So they treat us as service perspective, like coming back to you. Banana Republic is one of the best brands in the US, but it's completely done in Tirupur. Like, most of the brands are done only in India. And they are sold from, I'm sure, Van Hussein to Tommy Hilfiger. Who doesn't get it done in India?
That's why I'm saying we are taking, fashion abroad. We are not creating our own label. That's a big cry. It's saying that, if we are making, fashion brands and fashion accessories and everything for people who are outside, that label is flourishing and our country is not. That's a big concern for me.
Although all the manufacturing units happen to be here in India and Bangladesh.
Yeah. So I think, Pratika, what you are really raising is a very important question to say that, how do you negotiate with people outside or inside? And looking at how we can take it from a perspective of the launching of a brand to JW Marriott, which is basically only believes in foreign brands and all that. That's, I think, hats off to you. And I also want to, with Tarun, because he has a huge campus, the microbeauty. If she can get a shelf out of your beauty on the side, I love to do that, because that will be the business hair on the table.
We have a anti-hangover shower gel. So we launched it in December for the.
So what I'm saying is that if I can match this business, I think this will be great. And also with both of you, she's a blogger, you are you're promoting, the entire tourism and also all that. I think today the world is converging. And, we are talking about the whole, people coming together and doing business. If you are singly doing business, there is no appetite in this country and or also globally. What you have to do is you have to do co-creation. You have to also come up together and see that, what kind of group you are creating. And that's the success. Don't think of competition who's sitting next to you as competition. Think of that to supplement and complement, to see together I can create a larger and a bigger business. So that's what I'm really talking about, because we started the conversation with safety, security, tourism and other things, but my thinking is India is a very big opportunity. And if we can't really work for these opportunities and unlock this opportunity, we will not be in a position to take this really further. What I will do is I will want to have one quick reaction from you to see that, how should we create this community and work? Should we look at co-creation and creating a kind of a group which should help and upsell our market? A quick reaction. Can we do this?
Yes, there is a great potential we have in India. When you talk about hospitality or tourism, I think what we have in India, nobody has this in the world. When we go to Australia, when we go to US, when we go to Dubai, when we go to Singapore, whatever we go and see there, it is all here. Yeah. It is just that, we are not able to promote it the way we should.
I think we are not creating as a holistic or an inclusive way than, what they have done in a small island.
Exactly. When you go to Australia and you talk about a rainforest, we have got the biggest rainforest, and what we have here.
Yeah.
And I'm sure half of the people don't know what those states are. Nobody talks about Arunachal.
The
is more basically from the northeast, and we try and promote that. And I've always been, I've asked you also, you know, why the North India or the South India is not promoting in this field when it comes from women.
Women, because if you, I've just been, we were helping the government of Bihar for the whole Buddhist circuit. As you can meet, so I think please come, you be our guest.
Public at large, and of course people like us, who then need to also voice their opinions on the subject.
And at the policy making level, there should be certain policies which support women.
They need. If we perhaps have you know, certified women guides, maybe, you know, certified women homestay operators, it will make a lot of difference. They want them to be
a storyteller, but I'm just saying, if all these women entrepreneurs who are sitting, if you need any help on the social media perspective and other things, contact her. She's here till tomorrow, 12 o'clock.
Yes.
So happy to, you know,
I'll be
promote.
happy to answer your questions.
Yeah, questions, and also meet her individually offline. It will be helpful for, she can take a small session of yours, 10 or 15, sit together and do that. Because what I'm saying is Pooja has traveled all the way from Delhi. I think what we should do is, people like her seldom meet. So she's a very experienced person. Take her advantage to see how you can bring the best effort from her work. Sure. So Anuja, from your perspective, last point, in terms of the last point to say, how should, you know, what do you need which is really hurting you or troubling you?
The attitude. we really need to work on the attitude of our mindset of
very good.
ourselves.
Yeah. So Anuja, great. I think you nailed it quite well, because that's what we need for changing the attitude and the behavior and the mindset. That's
and
really
most of all, attitude of women towards women also.
Kritika, from
absolutely,
benefiting, economy benefiting, and what the whole thinking is that we want more, you know, you're looking at more business opportunity together. Questions, quick questions, no reaction.
You people were discussing about our
conversation. It is doable and it should be done.
I'm saying it is not that we should go on say for the hotel management when they are in the +2, 12th. When they are in 12th only, we say no, they will think we should go to engineering, or we should do BCom, or we should go for the hotel management. They will decide, madam.
Yeah, ma'am. Yes,
sure, okay. Career development
when already they are in, we are not supposed to teach them to swim. Before they go to in, if you give the guide, that it will be good.
That's a good idea. That's a good point.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah. Last question. Yeah, from the back. Sorry. Yeah.
There may be just stray cases of rape and all that in some states, like maybe Kashmir and other places. I've traveled extensively in India and abroad, and I never travel alone. I've been a solo traveler to many places, and I've never faced such a kind of thing there.
So.
Okay, so I would like to answer this. I'm not saying that yes, you know, mishaps happen everywhere. But for say a foreigner, let's assume, you know, I mean, I'm not sure whether you've seen this or not. If you come to Delhi or you go to Agra, people usually get completely enthralled by white skin. They're literally running behind you to take a picture and so on. And the minute these foreigners or the single ladies say no, you actually end up getting manhandled. This is reality. We cannot ignore this reality. That is completely there.
So ma'am, definitely somewhere there is also the media projection and other thing. We agree on that, but also from the safety and ecosystem. So that's point. I'm taking your point also, our point. Yeah.
And you know, even in most of these places, you won't even see, you know, police women in plain clothes or even in uniform for that matter. So in case there's an emergency, there's an exigency, who do you reach out to?
So now that's a next panel we'll be talking about. We have Rupa here, and you know, we'll be talking about all that.
Anywhere in any part of the world.
Absolutely, yes, yes.
Not only in India.
I mean, I got pickpocketed when I was in Milan. So
yeah,
things can happen anywhere. But this is just an inherent fear that people have within themselves, even while traveling within the country.
Yeah, good. But thank you so much. I had a great panel today, and we spoke about tourism, safety, security, how to create brands like what Kritika has done, and collaboration and co-creation. But thank you so much for listening to the panel, and really feel that, if we can create this co-creation in terms of looking at more businesses coming together, that will be the success of that summit and also of this panel. So thank you guys. Thank you. We'll have a
Thank you, Mr. Parul. Yes, we have done it, but we still have a long way to go. As a token of our thanks and gratitude to you, Mr. Parul, to Tarun Jain, please.
Thank you. So I think, Tarun, thank you for coming here and
Kritika Patsarthi, this one for you with loads of thanks. Anuja Pandey.
Thank you for coming in.
Chapuri. We repeat, she's going to be with us till 12 noon tomorrow.
We'll have a group photograph and then we'll...
And definitely one for Parul Soni.
Yeah,
this one for you.
Yeah, take it later. Thank you, kind of. Thank you. So we'll have a quick photograph and then... Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll just wait for Tuesday.
Well, the focus of our next panel discussion is women in governance. Definitely sounds very, very interesting, and we definitely have some very, very inspiring and motivating speakers who themselves are very good examples. But we're just waiting for two of our distinguished speakers to join us. Of course, Madam Ratna Prabha, and also DG and IGP Srimati Neelamani and Raju. Once they are here, we're going to take off for that session. So please be with us.
The government of Karnataka, obviously the IT hub that Karnataka is, wants to be a front runner in using blockchain for the public good.
Priyank Kharge has been the inspiration for this. He has been leading from the front on a number of new initiatives that we have taken, and Karnataka, you will definitely find great number of initiatives. We are very happy to find international experts who have chosen to come here, responding to our request, and they will talk about how
very significant program
can be used in
the IT journey of the entire state.
Participating in this blockchain conference will also be taking up training of 5,000 people in cutting edge technologies to youth, and this will be taken up in collaboration with the National Foundation and the government of Karnataka.
If the government is taking those initiatives and really looking forward in leveraging those aspects, I think
so a lot of people were
it's not just the corporate, and then if the government starts also doing in the right way, I think we are in the right path of leveraging those disruptive technologies which will change our lives.
By the country, India's first IT policy. because of those policies,
here we are today at the threshold
we
of
are
what could
leaders
be
in
history to
IT-enabled
identify
services.
opportunities and challenges
in Bengaluru, in the state of Karnataka, contributes 40.4% of the entire earnings.
Hackathon,
and that's roughly translates to around 3 lakh crores. So it's taken us
very surprised that the quality
less than 20 years to get where we are here in IT-enabled services. Today, because of the then disruptive policies, we were able to come here being leaders in IT-enabled services, being leaders in R&D, being number one in India. But is that enough? Are we happy with that? Is the government of Karnataka happy with being number one in India? Definitely we are not. How can we be global leaders? We cannot do anything as disruptive as the private sector, but yes, we will have make changes step by step. So we wanted to listen to the stakeholders. We wanted to understand from the industry stakeholders what is it that we need to change, what is it that we need to define so that we become global leaders. And we need to ensure that we talk the language of the industry as well. We need to predict future trends as well. Our constant conversations with the industry stakeholders has led us to change our minds to be both creative and disruptive in our approach, to reposition ourselves as torchbearers for emerging technologies and entrepreneurship in the global arena. India's only Center of Excellence in IoT is run by the government of Karnataka past year and a half. We are also running the Center of Excellence in aerospace. We have also signed up for a Center of Excellence in artificial intelligence, machine learning and big data. Of course, animation and gaming is on our top priority, cyber security, and more importantly, agri-tech also. Because now we see technologies disrupting across sectors. So how do I ensure we have technology in agriculture also? So from lab to farm, farm to plate, how do I ensure that seamlessly is something that we are also looking at? And I was quite surprised myself when we saw that out of the 1,700 applications that we received during our 1100 program, 450 were there from the rural areas, from the tier 2 towns. And 300 of them were from women entrepreneurs. So today, ladies and gentlemen, the real reason why you are here is for you to understand what the government intention is for you. So today we are going to change we are going to let go of what we have been doing so far, and we are going to change ourselves in a new avatar. We are going to come out, as you people say, the Industrial Revolution 4 is here. So is the department version 4 is here as well. So today onwards, we are going to be called as the Department of Innovation and Technology. And the Innovate Karnataka will be more agile, more focused. It will be on a mission mode under the Department of Innovation and Technology. And this department will lead the country in emerging technologies and entrepreneurship to make our country a global hub and leader for future technology.
The Innovate Karnataka logo.
You cannot control these things. These are decentralized objects. These are blockchain. And that is pretty much where I think everyone is getting it wrong, that you can't separate these two technologies and kind of get away with it.
There are today probably about
to promote startups in the state, an incubation center will be established in Kalburgi in association with Deshpande Foundation at the cost of ₹5 crores. To promote hardware equipment and semiconductor chip design and development, Semiconductor Fabless Accelerator Lab will be established with the Association of India Electronics and Semiconductor Association ISA. An Agro Innovation Center will be set up in association with Center for Cellular and Molecular Platforms, CCAM, a Government of India organization in order to encourage and nurture promising innovations in the agriculture sector. To encourage innovations in different areas in the state, Karnataka Innovation Authority will be established under the chairmanship of the Honorable Chief Minister. It is proposed to launch new programs to encourage the development of manufacturing sector, protection of intellectual property rights, especially keeping in mind development institutions, entrepreneurs and startups.
Like Gartner and they say that by 2030, traditional banking services will cease to exist. And what do banks do? Banks like us, we collect money, we move money, we lend money, we secure money, we protect money. All these services can be built by blockchain. And we don't necessarily have to use the Bitcoin piece of it and the cryptocurrency piece of it. The tokenization, can be used for settlement without using a cryptocurrency. So my view is for
everybody is
emerging
going to be
country like
employed
India, where a focus
gainfully in
is
this
on
project.
financial inclusion,
It's
is
a
to
30 crore
use
project as well done,
technologies
Minister,
which can
and many
really
congratulations.
help our mainstream public, right? I think that's what probably our approach is, and that's what we are going to focus on in the coming years.
We are honored today to have representatives from some of these leading countries speaking about the applications of blockchain in their country. Marloes is the blockchain program officer of the Dutch government. She has herself initiated over 36 pilots of blockchain applications in the Netherlands. Mr. Sakre Irikan, he is blockchain evangelist with IBM Dubai.
So today when I hear that, we are bringing innovation to the forefront,
from the Indian
it gives us courage, it gives us strength, and I think it's in the right direction. So inspiration from science, trust on innovation, and fueling growth through technology. That is my first point. So we should, give a big round of applause to the Karnataka government for taking those steps.
The only thing that I see when reading more about this is that anything I do is thrown out within weeks, without exaggeration.
And through your interventions and through your feedback, we are able to work on our programs and try to make them better. Bangalore, as we all know, is listed as one of the top tech cities. We are definitely there in the first 10 to 20 cities in the world. We look forward to a further journey ahead in the path of innovation and technology.
Blockchain and its key concept is just taking us back to the absolute basics of trade, the basics of transactions.
At the government itself, we start with a certain use case, then we build new teams. We build a team with blockchain experts and the people from the government. So we don't think the government should only be an enabler and give money to the IT people or to the startups. Every project I build a new team with people of the government and blockchain experts. And then we try to figure out how will blockchain change the process. We built a new coalition of companies, governmental organizations who are willing to invest in the next phase.
Very
so that takes a lot of time because we have to work together. And after that, we build prototypes and we test it in real life.
Think of it as building a city, building the trunk infrastructure, sewers, the roads.
Ladies and gentlemen,
there really isn't any ROI
and wish you a very warm
so
good evening.
I think initially to create that layer,
really excited to welcome you all to the launch of Innovate Karnataka.
We were the first
on which
to craft
others can then come in and then build
IT policy for the country. So a lot of people were quite, the other states were quite
I think that's the way
shocked or quite surprised that
in the last
Karnataka jumping into the game way before
10 years,
the technology
if you were to go back to the whole
e-governance
is
by the country.
Other projects that
India's first IT policy.
We have been able to
because of those policies,
pilots that have
today
been tried in countries
we are
like
leaders
this,
in IT-enabled services.
We have adopted
in Bengaluru, in the state of Karnataka,
and I think
contributes 40.4% of the entire
blockchain
earnings.
be one
and
of those
that's roughly translates to around 3 lakh crores.
Is an endeavor that all of us are
less than 20 years to get where we are here in IT-enabled services. Today, because of the then disruptive policies,
so what is blockchain
we were able to come here being leaders in IT-enabled services, being leaders in R&D, being number one in India. But is that enough? Are we happy with that? Is the government of Karnataka happy with being number one in India? Definitely we are not. How can we be global leaders? We cannot do anything as disruptive as the private sector, but yes, we will have make changes step by step. So we wanted to listen to the stakeholders. We wanted to understand from the state industry stakeholders what is it that we need to change, what is it that we need to define so that we become global leaders. And we need to ensure that we talk the language of the industry as well. We need to predict future trends as well. Our constant conversations with the industry stakeholders has led us to change our minds to be more creative and disruptive in our approach, to reposition ourselves as torchbearers to emerging technologies and India's only center of excellence in IoT is run by the government of Karnataka past year and a half. We are also running a center of excellence in aerospace space. We have also signed up for a set of excellence in artificial intelligence, machine learning and big data. Of course, animation and gaming is on our top priority. Cyber security, and more importantly, agri-tech also. Because now we see technology disrupting across sectors. So how do I ensure we have technology in agriculture also? So from lab to farm to blade, how do I ensure that seamlessly is something that we are also looking at? And I was quite surprised myself when we saw that out of the 1,700 applications that we received during our 1100 program, 450 were there from the rural areas, from the tier 2 towns, and 300 of them were from women entrepreneurs. So today, ladies and gentlemen, the real reason why you are here is for you to understand what the government intention is for you. So today we are going to change we are going to let go of what we have been doing so far, and we are going to change ourselves with a new avatar. We are going to come out, as people say, the Industrial Revolution 4 is here, so is the department version 4 is here as well. So today onwards we are going to be called as the Department of Innovation and Technology, and the Innovative Karnataka will be more agile, more focused. It will be on a mission mode under the Department of Innovation and Technology, and this department will lead the country in emerging technologies and entrepreneurship to make our country a global hub and leader for future technologies.
The Innovate Karnataka logo.
Today when CSR projects are being run, crores of money, in fact 20,000 crores is what it is expected that CSR projects will bring to the table in running projects. Today the biggest challenge that all CSR
an incubation center will be established in Kalburgi
how do I know that the money that I spend actually went
at the cost of ₹5 crores. To promote hardware, equipment and semiconductor chip design and development, semiconductor fabless accelerator lab
which are the regions or which all farmers
to the Karnataka government for taking those steps.
Why do you need a super identity? Why do you need a blockchain? And why can't I just put Aadhaar on the blockchain? So to simply summarize,
one of the top tech cities, we are definitely there in the first 10 to 20 cities in the world. We look forward to a further journey ahead in the path of innovation and technology.
The government of Karnataka, what have been their challenges, how have been their solutions. So we all get to know in this panel discussion which will focus on women in governance. Once again, may we request Mr. Parul to take over, and our eminent speakers of this session, Srimati Vandita Sharma, Additional Chief Secretary, Department of Forest, Ecology and Environment, Government of Karnataka. Ma'am. Srimati Rupa, IGP Fire Service, Government of Karnataka. Dr. Ekrup Kaur, Secretary, Finance, Government of Karnataka. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, Chief Secretary, Government of Karnataka, Srimati Ratnaprabha.
Ma'am, please.
Srimati Vandita Sharma, Srimati D. Rupa, Dr. Ekrup Kaur, and Srimati K. Ratnaprabha. Also, may we request Srimati Renuka Chidambaram to join us.
Yeah, it's coming. Yeah. I think this is first of its kind in India, where that we have from various stages of different batches coming together, and all women group of IAS officers and IPS officers who has been here, and it's a very tough task. I have discussed this with many moderators who are seasoned moderators, and they all felt that it has been a task which is very difficult for me to moderate as such. So how the panel will be, I think a lot of women entrepreneurs and women are joining us. They are busy with B2B meetings and also with the workshop with SIDBI. So they will be joining us soon. But I think I really want to thank all of you, ma'am, all ma'ams together. And it's very difficult to address by name, but also I'll try my best to moderate this. It's a tough work. But also what we wanted to discuss with the group today, and this is a very fascinating group because all studied very hard, came to the services, and as we have been meeting a lot of companies as the MDs or the CMDs of the companies, we have today MDs and CMDs of the government and also from different parts of India, coming from Punjab, from Haryana, from Tamil Nadu, from also Karnataka. I think it's a national integration. And it's very, very also apt to say that this is the only service which gives career than a job. So I think my fellow panelists will agree with me that this is more of a career. Government plans the career for them and they have to really work hard. And sometimes you all feel that it's a very easy job to do or easy career to have. But if you ask them, and we'll ask them about their career choice, it's a very difficult task to deal with public who come with grievances, public who come with joy, happiness, celebration, all that. And these are the officers or bureaucrats, you can say, who really help the people to strive and to get the benefit of what their rights are, and that's more important. And I always say that, ma'am, we are very fortunate from all of you, to see you all together and talking about with one voice, to see that, we all want this country to succeed and we want this country to be successful. That's what the opening remarks as such. But ma'am, I'm coming to our CS ma'am now, and she has been very, very, I'm saying, as a state in Karnataka, she has been not only pushing the whole agenda of women entrepreneurship, but anchoring is the right word. She has been an anchor from so many years to see that women entrepreneurship, women should have a growth story and all that. So I want to know, ma'am, from your perspective, when you look at not only women as such, but when you look at you in the governance as such, and when people benefit, what is your feeling, one? The second is that when you look at women, what is your perspective? What are we lacking in the whole thinking, and you are promoting the whole agenda of women? I'll not talk about entrepreneurship as such, but I'm talking about more of women as such. Yeah. First, it's an integrated question because one, you started, thinking about it, and when you thought about it, how now you're taking that as a journey for women in governance.
I think talking about women and governance, one can talk for a long time, so we have to sort of cut short our thoughts. But I think I will begin with what CM said today in the morning. He said it's not enough if we have women in top positions. Those women who are in top positions, they should have the inclination and the desire to work for the women and work for society. It's not enough that there is a woman at some particular position and then she would do something wonderful. Whether it's a woman or a man, one should have the passion or the inclination or the desire to work. Now, since today's topic is women and governance, I personally feel that the whole governance or the government and whatever the rules, etc., were generally framed by men, and they had men in mind. Generally, the clientele has been men. So when we have women sitting at the decision making, I can't say top, at the decision making, it can be at any level, it does make a difference because now we see a lot of women coming out to work, and we see a lot of women also coming to meet us. And when then we can point out what are the problems. Like all of us sitting here, I must say that after I took charge, the first thing we did was all the women officers, IAS and IPS met together, and we thought that we should put our heads and minds together and decide and think what can be done for women. And a lot of good points came up. And when the CM sort of announced his budget, then we found that in so many departments we could make a difference. It was something, I think Vandita's husband Prasad, I must give due credit to him. He was ACS Finance. When we had the discussions, he said, no, there's no budget. And then we were disappointed, and suddenly when the thing came out, there was so much for women, because the CM was cutting short the budget this time, but women were the priority. So since women from different departments and heading different wings, and based on their experience, we came out with a lot of new things. For example, washrooms. Washrooms is something which is a very small thing, but since the entire PWD department is controlled by men and run by men, they never thought of a washroom for women. As it is, even a place like Vidhan Saudha or Vikas Saudha, there's no washroom. These are all very small things, but it forms part of, we add value that when there are women officers, women employees, and then women visitors, there's no washroom, they come and wait for hours together. It's very, very difficult. So that was something which we addressed. At the same time, sexual harassment at workplace, those internal committees had to be formed. So those committees are not yet formed even in the Vidhan Saudha and Vikas Saudha. So when we took up a drive, we formed those committees. At least we wanted looking at their grievances. Have washrooms, so we decided we should have something like that. At the same time, industries department, industrial areas, and incentives, concessions. So every department came up with a lot of small things. And I think once we started talking about, when I must talk because this is a discussion on industrial policy. I mean, we did come here for the Women's Day. When we initially talked about the industrial policy, I think people were laughing at us, saying, oh, these people, women will always talk of doing something for women. They generally joke behind our backs, the male colleagues, but we shouldn't bother or we shouldn't care whether they laugh or not, They joke. But anyway, now it's become such a serious thing. Today's meeting, we realized we had 11 these kind of seminars from the last 4 or 5 years since this government has come in. And 5 women parks and 580 or 90 women entrepreneurs had come today. And this has come because we have not done a lot of publicity, but still probably we had taken a huge, bigger hall, lot women would have come. So it has generated it has created an impact, I can say, and this has had an effect on the other departments. We have this, I was sitting in a meeting, then the meeting was over, I asked him, what happened, are you not well? He said, no, I have a mild headache, but how did you realize that I had a headache? I said, no, you are looking unwell. Then he went and got checked up, and then he realized there was some heart problem for him because his face was looking, it was looking different. But probably if a man was there, he wouldn't have noticed that. And then he was so happy, he kept telling everybody in the office, his madam had not told me that I was looking sick, I wouldn't have gone and got this medical checkup done. I'm talking of small things. Women being there does make a difference, and in taking decisions also. Like the other day in Vidhan Saudha, I just wanted to share that there was an elderly lady from Delhi who came to meet me at, she's around 80. She said, my God, I had to walk so much to come to your room because we don't know, we come by our car, we get down at the entrance and come in. She said, I had to walk from some gate and this policeman stopped me and I walked and I'm so exhausted. I sat in your PA section, I sat for half an hour, your PA didn't give the slip. Then when I checked, I realized that only 2 gates of Vidhan Saudha were open for the public. Then I called the DCP who was in charge of Vidhan Saudha, got the 4 gates open. And the passes are given only at 2:30. So a person comes and waits in the line till 3:34 till he gets the pass, and by the time he enters Vidhan Saudha, some of the officers have gone. So I introduced a system which said that 10 o'clock the passes will be issued, though they will not enter Vidhan Saudha. They can take the pass, go around, come by 2:30 aram se and come into the Vidhan Saudha. I think these kind of personal, small touches which we can give makes a lot of difference to the administration. And there are many more which I can talk, but I want to give.
But ma'am, this is I think what you have also spoke about, the whole 360 degree of change. Looking at from a perspective of the eyes, the lens. What I always say in different eras of the work, why women are important, because the perspective changed, and the perspective is changing because of your inputs. Yeah. Because if you don't give those inputs, it's very, very difficult for basic. I'm not talking about men and women. Yeah, yeah. It's from the perspective of the gender lens to be more perspective on that thinking. I'll now.
I'll just tell one thing. The other day, Vandita was in the room. I think it was you. Somebody told her Karnataka is a state where the women have been given equal treatment, because we are in a state where things are much better. We don't realize how bad it is in other states. I was talking to one officer from another developed, so-called developed state, and he told me that you people are doing a lot of things for women in a very natural way. Said when he proposed something for women in industries, saying giving some mining lease or something for women, small leases, one of the ministers who was sitting there told the CM, sir, if this is given to women, what should we do? Should we wear bangles and sit? And CM immediately said, yeah, what you are saying is right. And then he told the officer, Baba, your proposal of giving these mining, whatever lease for women can be discussed later. But I find in Karnataka, this doesn't happen at all. Because when we put forward proposals saying this is what has to be done for the women, the state as such, there may be a discussion, but it's not, the men don't feel that what is going to happen.
But that's an enabling environment that you have created.
So this is the environment which is there, and I think we are very happy, and we should push it. Yeah. And it's very nice that at various levels we have women. So
So, ma'am, Vandita, ma'am, we discussed about your department yesterday. The whole thinking about looking at forest ecology, environment as such. Ma'am, there are a lot of rights which are being drawn by from the constitution as such. But from the perspective of one, because this is a question I'm asking again and again, from your perspective of ecosystem, what she's talking about, that men, or I'm talking about the third gender, not feeling the whole thinking about okay, I am not outsider, but inclusive growth. What are you thinking about from the governance lens? How you're dealing with it?
Yeah, now we are going a little more in depth into the governance issues, and yes, the question that comes to our minds is first and foremost the topic of today's discussion, which is governance, women in governance, and we really need to. We have to face health, water, drinking water. We look at anything, the lifestyles. Okay, yesterday we were talking about sustainable development goals. Yeah. Now SDGs, why do we have to look at all that? Because society has to develop, and for development, why is the role of women so important? First and foremost, that I'm sure everybody agrees that the role of women is very important, because women are the ones who are the most impacted. When we look at the health parameters, we look at the educational parameters, look at hygiene, you look at infrastructure, women are the victims. We go down to, see, today we are sitting here in a very privileged environment. All of us sitting here are, I think, very privileged, and we are very happy to be in a state like Karnataka, where in things like postings and work environment, we are not discriminated against. But we are responsible, and very seriously responsible, to ensure that the woman, my sister, sitting there in a village, in the remotest village of our country or in our state, gets the rights that are required, and also has a higher quality of life. Our responsibility is to increase the quality of life of not just women, all entire society. Yes. However, it's so important to ensure that women are given a very pivotal role in that, because it's woman, she is the fulcrum of a society, of the family. Correct. It's the woman who goes and fetches water after walking kilometers. It's the woman who will be trying to light a fire with firewood. And it's a woman who will be sitting and trying to ensure that her children are educated. So the environment is very primarily on that woman who is sitting there and is not getting any attention. So I think as women in the civil services, all of us are very responsible. So that is why SDGs become very important for us. and implementation. And very quickly, I'll not take more time. The others, I would like the others to speak. Very quickly, I would like everybody appreciates the fact that Karnataka is one of the states which was the first. We started local self-government, Gram Panchayati system, Panchayati Raj system in 1987, which probably I think was even before the 73rd and 74th Amendment to the Constitution. So we were the first state to bring that. And in that, I think we had 25% reservation for women, which today is gone up to half of the women's representatives. So if we see the representation of women at the Gram Panchayat level, it's very heartening. It's very heartening to see. However, all of you may be aware of this, but it is very disheartening to see the representation of women at the highest level in the country today. In parliament, it's not even 11%. It is so poor there. Yeah. In the legislative assembly, in all the states, I don't think any assembly or council exceeds 10 to 11%. In the civil services, I don't think any of our batches would have had more than you had. And it's very nice to see that the younger batches which are coming. A group is of course one of our very young colleagues here. Her batch and lower batches, the representation of women is much higher. So overall, I only want to emphasize the fact that it is a causal relationship between women and development. Development in society is very dependent on women's participation in the developmental activities, because we suffer, we are the ones who are at the receiving end of lack of development. So we need to bring about, we also know better, like ma'am said, compassion is a little more ingrained in us. Okay, let's face it. So in fact, you mentioned, I will also like to mention my husband. Once he was saying, and he's also in the service government, so he was saying, you know, if we had a woman-centric society, probably we would never had so many wars. And he keeps repeating, and I agree with him fully. We would not have had so many. We don't want to fight. We don't want to get killed and kill others. We only want water, khana, pina, kapda, sona, acha se, education, health, and good living, a good quality of life. So overall, it's the development of a society is very intricately integrated with the focus on women. So I think that's...
This is very important, because from a perspective which is, you know, yes, I totally agree. I always try to preach and talk to people saying that, you know, how we can bring more women in equity. Not I'm talking about reservation, because I'm against the whole issue of reservation. But my main thinking is looking at equity and equality to see from the mindset of the thinking, you know. Why are we thinking about this is the policies? Why should we create a policy which is, you know, differently for others? But my main thinking is that, you know, but in this situation, yes, we need those policies because we are not equal. That is what the real thinking about the whole perspective of bringing these kind of a push, you know, to see that that push is important at this point. Maybe 20 years hence, we will not need that push. You know, looking at, hopefully, and looking at the Scandinavian countries like Sweden and other countries, the whole thinking and the perspective is different. That's what thinking, ma'am, but very good, you know, from initial points what you have put. Ma'am, you know, I want to have a question for Renuka, ma'am, from a perspective from public enterprise. When you talk about the whole issue of public enterprise, and now you are also the leader for Vision 2025. What is your thinking from the government perspective? How do you want to see this state of Karnataka by 2025? Sorry, it's a tough question, but you know.
I think it's a very, very fair question, very valid question. And I wish I had something more heartening to say. Of the 450 plus board directors we have in the PSUs, the number of women less than 10. Now, yes, because officials, you know, the same ones keep circulating. It's a group, myself and a few others. Now the issue is not about whether there are qualified women to participate in the running of a company or not. I think that's a moot point. The issue is that it hasn't happened, and that is why when Vandita was talking about the fact that we need to bridge the gap simply because we have traditionally been a patriarchal society. Why do we need to bridge this gap quickly? Simply because, to elaborate again on the point that she was making, women are the birth givers, they are nurturers. So literally, what sort of a future generation are you creating if you are keeping out the creators and the nurturers? And I don't mean just physical nourishment, I mean psychological, mental, value-based nourishment. What sort of nourishment are you giving them if you're keeping that one half out? That's one point. The second point, which Mr. Soni was talking about, is about equitable versus equal. Equitable is what is important. We are not trying to turn the sand timer around. You know, we're not saying that women will governance of will also, and by the terms and conditions of our service, have huge opportunities to make a difference. And for me, the important part is not to give fish, but to teach you how to fish. Because unless I do that, I can say, oh, you know, when I was deputy commissioner, or you know, when I was CEO, or when I was MD, you know, I did so many programs, I spent so much money. End of the story is how many people's lives changed as a result. Many of us are just status quo keepers. I think it's a case which all of us will share. People come to us from the districts where we worked and say in Kannada, Madam, tamma kaladalli hagittu. Iga ella haal hogbittide. Okay, probably pandering to your own ego, but maybe there's truth in what some of them say, or their perception that when you were there, things were good. Now things have changed. So the attempt should not be one Chief Secretary, Madam Ratna Prabha, or one ACS, Mrs. Vandita, or one A-Group, or one Rupa. It has to be the system above the human being. If you keep the human being above the system, you're waiting for a good person to come. Yeah. Where the bad person comes, or let's say the lazy, or the inefficient, or the disinterested person comes, the system falls and fails. Our contribution as women, our greatest contribution as women in governance, to try and ensure that we get systemic changes in place. It's not a quick battle, it's not an easy where when you have people like the Chief Secretary, or you know, an all-women's team, the DG, the CS, not only does it send a message, but you see her commitment. And this is not some commitment that she newly developed after becoming Chief Secretary. It was there when she was in her earlier avatars also. I need not elaborate. So there is a certain multiplier effect, okay? Now if you see that the head of your own department is taking a certain stand on issues, that in itself is creating an enabling environment. Although it's an intangible environment, it's creating an enabling environment because it's giving you a way forward, it's giving you a way to respond to your own, head's direction, and it gives you a certain courage and confidence which you might not have. So, to answer your question, even when we come down to Department of Public Enterprises, I have seen, we have enough examples in Bangalore. Some of the biggest companies in Bangalore are headed by women. And I see here a lot of our sisters from the districts who are doing fantastic, and I will say their contribution is bigger than the CEO of a 1,000 crore company because they are battling far more challenges. So their contribution, even if it's just a few lakhs, is huge. But when our private sector is so vibrant, why cannot the government in its departments increase the number? This is something we are looking at. This is something I am sensitive to. And as I said, we do have an idea that we need to carry this forward, because as I just told you, the situation today needs to be strengthened, because unless that happens, women are not going to get the opportunity to have their say in how they think organizations should be done. For instance, a company like the company which manufactures Mysore silk sarees.
Yeah.
It's a woman's garment, but there are no women directors on the board. You know, yes, like this. So definitely, if we move for a reservation in corporations also, public corporations, I'm not saying it's the answer to every ill, but it's a baby step forward.
Correct. We were discussing that we are substituted as women directors. In various corporations. Like I'm now in 4 boards and we're going to have to cover it. So officers are substituted, but we don't.
And yes, and as she says, we are substituted, which means if tomorrow Vandita leaves and there's a male colleague in her place, he will be the director, because we are ex-officio directors, right? Whoever is handling finance, whoever is handling BP, whether it's a woman or a man, gets represented on the board. So definitely this is something I am looking at. Of course, at the end of the day, it's a governmental decision, but I'm sure if we put our case convincingly, we do have a government that is quite sensitive to women's issues, and I must say, as both the CS and Vandita have told you, there's been a lot of progress. But remember, we're catching up over in a short time for things that have happened. I will say Karnataka is still a more positive and more encouraging environment. But having said that, it's not enough to rest on our laurels. We do need to go. So again, coming to the second point of what Mr. Soni said, what have we put in our Vision 2025? We've put in a whole lot of things, and I don't want to say anything because it will be equivalent to streaming Padmavat on the internet before it's released. So please wait for it tomorrow, and I'll request all of you. You can go onto our website, Navakarnataka 2025, Navakarnataka2025 at gmail.com, and have a, not at gmail.com, www.karnataka.gov.in, and have a look at our this thing. You will find that a lot of the ideas resonate with you. We've tried to keep as many women, and that's only thanks to my women colleagues and my male colleagues, because this vision is a culmination, the culmination of all their suggestions, all your suggestions. I've come to all your districts. So very good ideas about how we can systemically try and transform the whole sector of women in governance, and more important than women in governance, how women change governance. So please read that, and if you have any other suggestions, I'm very happy to take them on board. Thank you.
Very good point. 2 points which you have put, and it's really relevant. It's the process-oriented governance, the thinking about how should the processes be set, and through the process looking at the impact. Because today it's an impact-driven society, because if we are not getting the impact, the thing is we lose interest. Because if there is no impact, not only we lose interest, we get disinterested in the whole system and the governance, and that's what the whole prosperity and all are blocked because of those things. And very encouraging. I really like your thought process on that. It's really good. Thank you, ma'am. And ma'am, we now leading to a different perspective of finance, because what is leading is the blood to run the government, to run the enterprise, to run different aspects. And you have been not only, because when we did Think Big in the chairmanship of ma'am, I'll say chairmanship, ma'am, chairpersonship, is that, we always feel that you were, the BMTC, and we asked for buses from you to ferry women entrepreneurs. So that was a tough time when demonetization happened and all that. But so, 2 perspectives, and you want to know, one want to know, when you talk about finance and thinking about, financial budgeting and everything, how are you looking at, I'll not say we have not reached the level of, women-centric finance, but looking at budgeting from the perspective of stakeholder engagement and coming up with a finance or financial budget which should be helpful, which you have done in this budget, which I've seen 53, full of, entire thing, and I quote that with other state governments and also with the World Bank, how you have brought this perspective. But your perspective from thinking about government.
Finance, certainly, I mean, at the end of the day, all programs that government does and whatever policies we make, the financial capacity to fund these programs determines how far we reach in, giving the benefits. So Karnataka certainly has been, showing the path in this direction, and way back, almost a decade back, we came out with the first gender budget in Karnataka. And every year we come out with a gender budget where a certain amount of money, and it's usually close to about 30% of the entire budget, which goes towards women-related programs. It could be education, health, various other programs. This year, of course, we've gone a step ahead, and under the guidance of Chief Secretary, ma'am was very, very passionate about it, and she pushed us, and I'm glad that we did it. We came out with a series of things to support women. So about 30 new programs have been started. And while one of us, during the discussion, it happened that discrimination, positive discrimination should not be done. We should not have reservation. But there is a huge catch-up which has to be done. And that is why this is very important, that there is allocation, there is a special status which is given. It is a kind of a positive discrimination in favor of women, because the need are already there. And having a woman in the team, I can vouch from my own experience in finance department, having a woman in the team certainly makes a very big difference. Because simple things, we were talking about various programs. When each department comes to finance during the pre-budget meetings, they will come out with their schemes, what they want. So just, having one woman in the back room who would actually go back and discuss on each of those programs, I was able to lend a kind of a woman's perspective into everything. And that is one of the reasons that, we were able to cull out some very good programs for women this year. Overall, I feel that, our role as women in governance is very, very important, and representation of women in government needs to increase, both in bureaucracy as well as in the political setup, because it is only women in decision-making roles and in roles which have an impact on large number of people can actually make a big difference. While all of us contribute, each woman who's present over here, all of you are, contributing in your own way to bringing up other women, to support other women, and to encourage enterprise in women. But being in government, you are able to do it at scale. For example, I'm also, working for the State Finance Corporation. Last year, we've come out with a program where we are supporting women by giving them an interest subsidy for various projects that they take up. It could be small things like, a catering setup or big manufacturing units. So we are giving them interest at, loans at the rate of 4% interest. And that has made a big difference. I interact with women in my office. These women are women who were not getting support from family. If you're going to market and if you're going to take a loan on a regular interest rate, it would be the man in the family who would set up the enterprise. By having this kind of positive discrimination in favor of women, a lot of women are now coming forward, setting up businesses. They have got support from government, not only in terms of interest subsidy, but we have industrial parks, we have preferential policy for giving industrial plots to women. So any program which the government takes has a very, very large outreach, and that is what really makes the difference. And it helps a lot of women to, join, and that gap which is there between men and women that we see today can slowly be bridged by having more women in government and having more women in the political setup.
Ma'am, very good. I think what you spoke about, the gender-based budgeting and everything, it's very, very important, because we have been doing that work with UN Women and others in the various countries. So I understand the whole thinking and the perspective, because, and I always quote this example to so many states, and they are envy of this state. Rajasthan and all that, and the situation in Haryana, it has been so tough and difficult because, you know, working with the Principal Secretary, Industry and Commerce has been difficult task because they were creating this policy on textile. And I said, you know, the whole thinking about textile policy, the whole perspective of women is not there. He said, speak to KPMG, they are making. I said, if you have no intent, how should I speak to KPMG? Because the thing is, they are your consultants. Whatever you say, they do it. So my main thinking is this perspective of the fact that need is there, then you will create that. What you're talking about, the financial things and all that. So that's what thinking. So I
wanted to mention when he's talked about Haryana, Parul helped us, I mean, actually he brought this idea of doing Think Big. Not helped, he did the Think Big event in Karnataka, the first which we did, that was in 2016 November. And then we put forward the proposal to the government. I was not in industries, I was ACS by then. And then through the industries department, we got a budgetary support, and the Chief Minister came for the inauguration. R.V. Deshpande ji was there with us. Today also he was there the whole, almost till afternoon. So we had such a wonderful support, and we targeted nearly about 2,500 women, and that was the world's almost the largest women entrepreneurship summit. Still, both of us internally felt that we struggled a lot to get the budget or the support from the male colleagues. But then when he did 2017 in Haryana, and he told me that Haryana government has invited him and he's getting all the support and I should come and, you know, go there. And when I finally landed, I found that nobody supported him, and only the Deputy Commissioner of Haryana, who was some 2010 batch, Gurgaon, he was there, and not a single minister nor a single IS officer, nobody had come.
He had the World Bank, DFI,
and he brought everybody on his own, and it was equivalent to what happened in Karnataka. Then, or maybe better. So, no, it was equivalent. Karnataka was a little better. So I told him that, what is this? I mean, then at that time when we were hosting Think Big here, and even now, whenever we hold our women events, it's not that it happens. Our associations, poor things, they keep running to the industries department, they keep waiting outside the commissioner's room, the ACS room, they don't get appointments, and all that happens. But at the end of the day, the support comes. Because these women are also having that kind of a determination and patience. They go and they stand outside, Rati and all are there from stands outside the JD Industries room or outside the deputy commissioners and all, because the men don't, I can't say in Karnataka everything is having on a going on a platter that people come running and try to, yeah. So they do all sorts of things, but ultimately, you know, when you compare with what is happening in other states, definitely we are doing much, much better. I mean, we feel the women have to be treated in a better way, much better than what is happening, but definitely things are far better compared to other states, and I think it is the best. Every event which we had, at least the CM, however busy he was or is, today also, I know the election is there in the next 45 days, and he was flooded with people in his room, in his house, but then he came and he came late, but then he spent a lot of time. Mr. Deshpande was there. And I think Parul will acknowledge the presence of a minister, the chief minister, the IS officers, gives a lot of support to the women. It gives a mental strength and support that these people are with us. Even if they had to stand for hours to get their presence, you know, it makes a lot of difference. That is also totally lacking in other states. They just don't support women entrepreneurship or any programs which
when they don't have a perspective, that's what I'm saying. The mindset is not there.
So we are in a country where the mindset, like Renuka said, we have to develop systems. It is not like now Vandita is there, or Ratnaprabha is there, Renuka is there, and we do something for women, and when we go, the whole thing reverses back. I remember when I was on deputation to Andhra Pradesh, I insisted, I forced the Chief Minister to reduce the registration fee, stamp registration fee, if a property is registered in the name of women. Then all these male colleagues went and sat on his head and said, first of all, Revenue Finance Secretary said the revenue will come down if you because you are reducing by 1%. And then I said, if you register in the name of women, maybe more registration registrations take place and we don't know, let us see the thing. Anyway, CM took a very strong stand and he said nothing doing. What she's saying, some other officer came and said, no sir, then the men will start registering all the illegal properties in the name of women and all that. Then CM said, it's okay, they get, the property will come to her. Doesn't matter, let it be there. You know, he stood by what we said. And finally, the thing was done. And at the end of the year, there was not much of a loss, financial loss. But a lot of women felt very happy that the properties were being registered. And because the fee was reduced by 1%, in a family where husband and wife had a good relation, the husband registered in the name of the wife too, because they got this exemption. And the moment, I was there only for 1 year, and the moment I got shifted, my successor, who was my batchmate, the first file he takes, by then the CM also had died and the new CM had come. So the first file he takes is there's a loss of revenue and this stamp register dues which is given to women should be taken back, as if that was the priority. And he got that file signed, you know, he felt that he had to get my order reversed. So as Renuka is saying, we should have systems. You can't, but in our country is based on persons actually. It's personality based. Even our political leaders also, the personal charisma matters. You know, people vote looking at the person rather than the party's manifesto. So we are very emotional country and we go by our emotions.
So I have a, now it's IAS versus IPS, sorry, you know. You know, no, sorry, because I'll tell you, you know, my father was IPS, and I always felt that, you know, there is two associations working, you know, in terms of IAS and I. Yeah, yeah. So I'm not asking for a controversy, but you know, IAS and IPS, and Pankaj is the captain of the industry on that, you know. So great. So I think, you know, my question to you, we have heard you speaking about the governance issues and other things. From here, you know, at this point, I want to ask you a very different question. If, you know, so much is happening, what should we do differently in the perspective of policing in India? From the women-centric policing, what is missing?
Firstly, you said your father was an IPS, but you gave me last the mic. So I know your loyalty. So you
are family. You are family. No. You are family. You know, that's why I asked you. You're my family.
No, yes, that was on a lighter vein. Yes, about policing for women. Now, women, when they come to police stations, first of all, hesitate to come to police stations, you know. It's a known fact. Men also hesitate, and women hesitate even more. Yes. So, first of all, there is a stigma that somebody going to police station, oh, she must have done something very nasty and such things. Secondly, you dread actually, all the men are not the gentlemen or whatever you may call, they are the men. So, you really...
This is another controversy which you have created. Men are not gentlemen. So you know, so no. Can we add, you know?
This is in-house, so keep it here. So, you have to face men, so how will you tell your problems to them? Because many of women problems are something very private. They wouldn't like to go, that to become public. So that is another area. Third one is, mostly when women are affected, it is either they are victimized mostly by their family members or relatives in many cases. That is what many researchers have proven. They get victimized within the four walls of the home. So when somebody steps in, walks out and comes to the police station and starts complaining against a family member, the first reaction of the policemen, because they're all men mostly, would be, oh, this woman, she's coming and, you know, complaining against her own family. She had to be obedient to the patriarch. So she's questioning the patriarchy, being very aggressive. So there already a stigma, you know, a stereotype creeps in that she may not be of a good character or a nice woman and so on. They believe that problem perhaps started with her only. So that is where I think we need to make police stations more gender sensitive. There is another line of thought where, you know, people say, or our own officers, they think that women police stations are no good because not many women victims would like to go to police stations that are completely women. That line of thought is also there. But I disagree with that. And giving more women in common police stations, the general police station, itself will help. There again, there are very many differing voices. Why should we have more women? Police is something, a force that has to be tough, and women can't do tough jobs. They will not be available after certain hours to go to a remote area and look into the crime or stand for long hours for law and order duties and so on. But I think these are the ideas perpetrated by the patriarchal system. That is my personal opinion. The more women come into this force, I think police force will become more sensitive. They get a perspective. When you approach the police station, since all are men, the person who is doing the investigation is a man, the person who first will listen to your complaint is also a man, they already have a male perspective and they really can't empathize with women. So we need more women, of course, and luckily many states, including Karnataka, have given reservation to women at various levels, constabulary level, the KPSC, DSP level, sub-inspector level and so on. But more and more women coming into this male-dominated police force will definitely turn the picture around. And there is also more to do with women also. I think when they come, you know, to the police station, they must also demand that you should know you should be aware of what, as a woman, what your rights are. You cannot be questioned by a male, a policeman who is a man, you know. So that basic sense that I have to be asked and questioned by a woman, I have to be accompanied during arrest by a woman, all these help. Because only when you question, you know, it will more seep into the police minds and make them do. Otherwise, laws are there, rules are there, but they're all in the books. They're not being implemented at times, not all the times, but at times. So be aware of your rights, and yes, gender sensitization is very essential. From my own perspective, from my own experience, what we used to feel was, you know, when we entered police service, there was a big, to start off with, madam started off with toilets in Vidhan Sauda. So it is the same situation here too. Our own DG office, chief office, has a conference hall, and annual conference, we meet there for 3 days, and that had no female toilet. So it was only for the males, and we had to search out and really go to some officer's chamber, and just imagine we being youngsters, how can we, and the chief office had all senior level officers, DIGs, IGs, ADGs. So how can somebody, a young woman who was junior in rank, go to a senior officer's chamber and, you know, use the toilet? So that was a huge problem, and finally they've solved it a few years ago. They've made a women toilet. But similar situation exists even in police stations. Of course, government has pumped in lot of funds in police stations, but the thinking of the men is, the police sub-inspector will think, why women? Now as it is, there are only 2 or 3 women working in our police station, and not many women come. So why need it? So this is the perspective, and they change that, whatever is allotted to them, the fund or whatever, they get constructed a restroom for themselves instead of the police, instead of a toilet for women. So though it will be on paper written that a woman toilet is there, in actuality when you go there you'll find it will be a restroom for women, restroom or dormitory for men. So I think these simple changes we have to inculcate. Of course, it starts with family. We are all women here. We are all homemakers too, apart from being career women. So it all starts with changing the gender roles, telling your sons and daughters that both of you are equal and both of you can do everything. There's nothing called male job or a female job. I think only when the gender roles get blurred and when everybody starts doing everything, only then the discrimination will go. Else people will say, oh, this is only for the males or this is for the females, and you'll be judged because of that. And I think just to add to this, most of us might have experienced, when a woman is there and there is some failure of the situation or whatever, the first reaction will be, oh, look, being a woman, she couldn't handle. But if a man is there in the same situation, people will say, he was quite competent. Circumstances didn't work for him. So already there is a view that it's taken for granted that the men are quite capable, and it is for women to prove again and again that they are capable. So I think this is where it has to get blurred and get equal, and only then even policing, as you all know, police are not from Venus or Mars or from Mars mainly. They are all part of the society. So whatever stereotypes we carry normally or generally, the same things even policemen carry. So these can all get blurred when the other things are taken care of.
Yeah, one question which comes, when you're speaking about policemen. We have never thought about using the word in a gender neutrality perspective.
As a policewoman, no?
Yeah, policewoman. So my main thinking is maybe we can recommend this to NCRT, wherever the pictures of policemen coming in notebooks, in the textbook, it should show policewomen. Because the thing is, it will create more consciousness on the children to say that there may be policewomen in the future, police officers, or something like that. So yeah, so that's a more neutrality, neutral word, man and women and all that, because these are very, very unneutral words, which as, policemen and all that. So those kind of things, I think. And the other point, you have rightly said that the people approaching the police station, I'll tell you my personal story, is that, whenever I used to call my girlfriend, now she's my wife, I used to say, I used to say, please come to Lajpat Nagar police station, because I had the orientation, because coming from a police family, I was very, very, for me, the safe building was a police station. It can be Vasant Vihar police station or Lajpat Nagar police station or something.
And for her, it must have been a nightmare.
Yeah, so for her, because she coming from a very different background, a civil background, for her to coming to the police station was a, to say, where should I come and stand? So my thinking is that, if the background is only the mindset, if we perspective of safe and secure, infrastructure and thinking about it, things can change, and things can change drastically, because we are here talking about equal number of men and women in the world. We are not talking about unequal, and things are really changing. The labor force is changing. We are trying to push the needle as such. So that's what we were talking about today. Ma'am, I will only give 1 more minute each to you, only 1 minute, and it's basically a last comments to say how should we change the world. Let's talk about India. Let's not talk about the world. It's a broader, 1 minute will be less. But my main thinking is, one thing you want to change which comes to you and you can change it. What is your wish? One wish in 1 minute. Rupa first. Yeah, IPS.
To say one thing, I think it wouldn't do any justice, because there are so many things that...
1 minute.
In 1 minute I can
1 minute, one change.
Okay. Yes, of course, now bureaucracy has a lot of women representation, and it's a fair environment in UPSC. But I feel, power is power. You can do a lot of things when there is power. So I think in the political arena, on top, women should have more representation. So somewhere, I think this country should think of giving representation to women in politics, because that is really a male bastion, and for women to get to the top, it really it's not like we have tenures or fixed tenures, or we have that retirement age, or we have terms and so on. It's not like that. They have to really struggle, and in the process, somewhere I think they lose a lot of their own personality, and so that they don't compromise on anything, there should be representation for women at the top in politics.
Great. I have something to say which just came to my mind. Is saying I will recommend 5 years extension for all women officers. You know, if men should retire at 60, women at 65, and I also for the corporate world, so that the MDs and the chairman can retire at 65, not at 60. And I'll try to put this in a perspective through social media and all that, so that this is another thought so that we can bring that equality as such. Ma'am, your final 1 minute.
Yeah, you said what would be the one point that could change the world. I feel, you know, the change, one thing which can happen and which should happen is the change should happen from home. That's what I've been always promoting, that there should be a change of mindset. Because in every home, the mother is the leader, mother is the role model, and the mother is the one who has to change. The mother says, you're a boy, you can't pick up the plate, you can't come into the kitchen, and you are the girl, you pick up your brother's plate, go and wash it. That's how the mindset changes. So I feel, because the mindset should change from home, the equality, whatever we are talking of equal opportunities, if it starts from home, it starts, and then it goes to the schools, and then it goes to colleges. Definitely a generation later, the whole thing will change. Because I saw it in my own house. You know, my mother never made me to do any of the girly things. So today that Doordarshan lady had come to interview me. She says, I'll come to your house and I want to film you cooking. I said, I never cooked. Why should I cook? So she's like looking at me because I said, if you want me to... She came from
Doordarshan, madam. not from a private channel.
No, private channel also. They are also like that. And see, people feel that even if you are a chief secretary, even if you're a top IAS officer, you should go into the kitchen and, you know, do some, you know, churn something on the stove. And I told her that I am very bad at cooking, and if you want me to act for Doordarshan, I will take you into the kitchen and, you know, put a pan and some oil and fry something. But I don't think that is my personality. And then she said, okay, then
boil the water.
Then I said, you come home and you can see me. It's a government quarters, so it will be like some files and this thing and that kind of a thing. So the mindset is like, even if you're chief secretary, you should be cooking, should be running behind your kids, changing, you know, diapers. So that has to change. Of course, I always tell my mother that my mother is a very good cook. So I used to always regret that I didn't learn cooking from her. Because she used to say, you go, you study, you go to college, you know, you go for your table tennis tournaments, you go and participate here and there. So she never encouraged me to come into the kitchen, though she herself was working in a good cook. So that's how my cooking, anyway, that part went away. But I felt that we were treated equally in the house. So nowhere I felt, you know, that I am a girl and I shouldn't be, and even if I was shy, my mother used to push me, go, you go, why are you scared? Go and participate, go and do this. So I think if that kind of a support, if somebody gets from home, and the change of mindset, I keep telling everybody, you don't talk about caste, you don't talk about religion, don't go to that person's house because that person belongs to this community, don't eat food with them because they are Muslims or Christians. You know, these things are not told to a child. Child's mind is very innocent, and then you develop into a very good human being. One is developing your own personality, and then this equality, all will come at home if the mother and father don't encourage the child to do so.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mindset.
No, it's very difficult to say anything after that. And I think we were all thinking on very similar lines, because it's coming straight from the heart. And it is mindsets. Just to add and supplement what ma'am has very rightly said, it has to come from within us. And it has to come from within the men also, not just the women.
Yes.
So I have always maintained one thing, that we have to sensitize our sons, first and foremost. We always focus, see here also, the majority is women. We always, whenever we come in the government, we talk about programs which are focused on women. Suddenly the men folk think it's not their area anymore. It's always, okay, tum dekh lena. This is your area, women, gender, this thing. It's not so. It's everyone's responsibility, more so the responsibility of the men, because it is a patriarchal society. So it is for them to ensure that we sensitize our sons and brothers and fathers and husbands
equal responsibility
equally and give equality and equity. Actually, Renuka had touched very briefly on equity and equality, and that's a very important point. We do have equal opportunities. We have equal opportunities for our members of parliament. Why do we have only 10.53% or something? We do give opportunities, but they don't get them. We have it available, but the society has not yet facilitated us to reach, if not 50%, at least to some extent. So that's the only thing I want to say, that let's start from within ourselves. Once we change, I'm very sure our working environment will change, society will change, and that is what matters in the long run.
Great.
Since Parula has given us a strict time limit of 1 minute, I'll be very remiss as a good officer if I overstep that time limit. So very quickly to say, it's time for us to have people in the government and in the governance system to hand over the baton to you. That is, the citizens and the benefit, the impacted of government's governance. And why I say this is, the responsibility is as much on that side as it was on this side. You can't always be in a receptive or a reactive mode. You have to make, it's your bounden responsibility to make the government perform the way you want it. We are seeing that, we see that in Karnataka. We have a vibrant civil society, we have vibrant NGOs, we have vibrant women and men activists. So it's not that it's not there, but team. It can't be once in a while, okay, until really the whistle is blown. So please do that. Give yourself a participative role. Don't wait for us to hand it over to you like we're doing you a favor. No, it's an entitlement. Take it. Step forward and take it. So we're passing the baton on, and please pass the message on. Thank you.
Ma'am, there's also very, very basic and very important point which you have raised again. You're raising great point, is people's participation to development. You know, what is missing in the world today is the whole thinking about participation in governance or management or development, because that's what we are really looking at. How we got independence, because people's participation on development went to that level and we got independence. I think that the whole thinking is people sitting here, or I'm just taking as audience, or people outside don't participate if they are not the concerned party. When they become concerned party, they come and say, "Mere saath injustice hui hai." But when they are seeing injustice with somebody else, they feel that will not happen to them. Sorry, I'm taking a different route to all. But my main thinking is, if people participate in the people's progress, things will be much better, because everybody will get the right to speak and participate as such. Sorry, I'm just butting on that. Yeah.
So while most of it is said, but just to sum it up, they say it takes a village to raise a child, and it's each one of us who is responsible for the coming generation and how they shape up. Each one of us have to be role models for them, whether we are men or women. Men also have to come out of their patriarchal mentality, and that is most important. Actually, if we see most of the women-related events, women-related departments, women functions, they are attended by women, and the people who are addressing them are women. It cannot be a woman-alone enterprise. It has to be equally, the responsibility of bringing women at par with men has to be shared by men as well. And that is when we will make a difference. As mothers, we need to see that our children, especially our boys, are sensitized to that, because it is only opinions about the world. And I have 2 boys, so I have a big role to play. So, you know, that's where the opinion building happens. And the stereotypes that kids see around, even in, you know, everywhere, if you see how each one of us has a role in this. If you see TV ads, you will see only the woman cooking and, you know, the man seeing some very sensitive ads. They come only around Women's Day, but they should come more often. Similarly, you know, your father in the house has a very important role to play. He has to tell, if he shares the household responsibility, if he does household chores, then obviously the son will also learn that, you know, this is not just mama's job, even I have to do it, even my father is doing it. So that's how it's only over a period of time that this change will come, but it has to come from each one of us. All of us have to contribute to it. It cannot be just by push, it also has to grow organically.
Great, great. I think we had a great panel today. We can take 3 or 4 questions because I know they have to go back and do some more file work. But I'm just saying that, you know, we will, yeah. And 3 or 4 very pertinent, yeah. No reaction, please. Only questions. I'm sorry, I'm a bad moderator. And, you know, the thing is, I really, you know, they have spoken enough about things. So only questions. Yeah, 4 questions.
Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, my question is to Renika, ma'am. Ma'am, you're offering loan at 4% through KSFC, but then this loan is given against collateral security. And in India, as you know, most of them don't have the properties in the name of the women. So where does it help the women? In which way does it help?
Certainly that is an impediment. But, you know, when you are extending a loan, there has to be some kind of a security. Government has this year taken a decision to give collateral-free loans to SC/ST. Maybe in days to come, we will look at something for women as well. Because it's a very genuine concern. Women don't own property. Women don't have property in their name. So it becomes collateral security.
But alongside, we need to also ensure that men don't abuse this by putting women in the front. You know, you need to take hold of that. Otherwise, the entire scheme will get abused or, let's say, discredited.
Yeah, we can hear you. She's also a very, very successful entrepreneur. Yeah.
Ma'am, I have a question. I know Ratnaprabha ma'am knows this because I met her. So I wanted to write KS. Okay, I came and met you, but I didn't know Kannada. That was the reason. So every time I go to a government office, they always say there's so many posts which are vacant. So how is that? And there are so many women out here who are way more senior who could be in any of these posts as an additional thing. But it's always given only to IAS or KS or a CEO, because I know like Kiran Mazumdar, all of them are on board of so many boards. Why is that normal people cannot be part of it? Who are genuine? Part of what?
Or the director of the
like
public
a director,
company.
assistant director, you know, like a public post. See,
no, assistant director, these are all posts which one has to write a KPSC
correct.
exam.
Not the senior most post.
All posts, nowadays all posts have to come through KPSC.
Okay.
But through an exam and an interview.
Correct. But it's not open for anybody else?
It is open for everybody. There is an age limit.
Correct.
35 or whatever, and there are certain qualifications prescribed. So KPSC advertises it, and then you have to apply and pass the examination.
So my question was like on an e-governance thing, because Dad was on e-governance. So we had a lot of CEOs who are not IAS officers or KS officers, but they were on board of these committees.
No, that is different. Your dad was an STPI. That is a different.
Yeah, but you had a lot of other CEOs. So
actually, I think you're getting confused between the board of directors, which he talked about, which is a non-official appointment, and the post. Now, as far as government jobs are concerned, there is a process.
Correct.
Every Kannadiga has to go through the process. The insistence on Kannada is because people should know Kannada when they go to a village. So, and Kannadigas have to get into a job in Karnataka. Otherwise, people from outside.
So, but you know, Kritika,
but as far as the board of directors are concerned, what you're saying is right. The government normally doesn't choose from the public. Whichever political party is in power, they select people who are loyal to the party, so that it is some sort of a post for them, some sort of what do you say? I can say some sort of those reward for them being loyal to the party. So that is not on selection or anything.
Yeah, so when you are speaking about posts being empty and women empowerment.
But that's a good suggestion. So, you know,
what we'll do is, as Vandita also mentioned just now, that Renuka made a mention of the 450 or 500 meet 10 women. We can bring it to the notice of the government that, but now the government, we are going for an election, a new government will come and then we can take a call.
Good. I think, thank you. Yeah.
Madam, I'm very glad to know that the reservation has been, the point of reservation has been taken up today. The only thing I am concerned is, Madam, how much is the percentage allocated for gender sensitization? Because when a female puts up a point in the house, that the men has to agree to that, and many a times the women fail to address the issue because.
No, are you talking of reservation in government employment or what?
No, I am talking about putting a point. A woman's point in her role should be played well in the household. How will she prove a point when it is a male-dominated society? Especially when, let me just give you a plain example. She has to put a point and say, okay, tonight I will not sleep with you. Okay, this is how she has to. Or another 15 days, I will not sleep with you, I will not have sex with you. You agree to this. Many a times, this is the only, what do you call it? Only tool available for the man. I'm saying in most of the cases. Okay, I'm not talking. So how do you change that perspective from the rural, right from the rural to the urban, right? That sensitization has to happen. Then the change can be seen. Okay. The second point is communication skills. I have seen that when women stand, woman has to travel 10,000 kilometers to prove her point that she is good, whereas the man who ultimately may win the election, okay, who stands equally for the same post, doesn't have to do so much work. Okay, traveled 8,000 kilometers, and I have seen that happen. I have seen that happen, that a woman traveled. Because I have seen that happen, that this woman, she was extremely good. She could have just got elected. But she had traveled 10,000 kilometers and finally she won the election because she put so much hard work. I'm a CA and I'm talking about another CA who won the election. Okay? And
so ma'am, so this is more of a comment than a question. So
yeah, and the question is, how much is allocated for communication skills? Because communication skills matters for a person to win against a man.
Yeah, I have understood.
She doesn't communicate very well. These are the 2 points I want to know. Allocation
are you talking of allocation of funds?
Yes, allocation of funds and the policy manual which addresses these.
See, we have lot of, we have something like the ATI, the Administrative Training Institute in Mysore for the, no, you can sit down, the KS officers and IAS officers, and in the districts you have the DTIs, the District Training Institute. Good recognized training institutions where the officers are deputed for training, and gender sensitization, gender budgeting.
No, general public.
You're talking to the public? Officers first. So there is a systematic program to train men about gender sensitization, gender budgeting, etc. As far as society is concerned, I'm talking of your first question. As far as the society is concerned, all of us made in our point, the mindset has to change, the system, the culture has to change. So everybody in their house has to start changing their attitude. That's all. That's all it's been. And as far as elections are concerned, it's not only elections. Everywhere the woman has to work harder than the men to prove a point. Okay, Rupa already mentioned about it. It's always like that. They will say, our ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳು ಇದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. So that is like that. You have to work harder to prove that you are. We are talking of Renuka also mentioned that the mindset, the equity and equality. That problem is there. So we'll go to the next question.
Yeah. So I think we, ma'am, we will take.
It's very important question
Very important question. Okay.
Madam, now bank ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಫೈಲ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಟೀಮ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಲೋನ್ಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮದು ಟಾರ್ಗೆಟ್ ಅಚೀವ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ, ಕೊಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಬೇರೆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅಂತ ಈ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಂದ ಆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಗೆ, ಆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಂದ ಈ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಗೆ ಕಳಿಸ್ತಾನೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ?
ಅದು see, the banking also is an issue. That is also a mindset, what this lady mentioned, you know, all men have the same kind of mindset. So because of the mindset there is a problem, but definitely there is a change, and that is why, as far as you are from which place?
I'm from Bangalore.
Bangalore. So what we have done for the industries, because the bank we cannot generally comment because it depends on the managers. Some managers are positive, some are not. But to help the women entrepreneurs, what we have done is we have started a Mahila Udyama Vahini, and in Karnataka Udyog Mitra, and also we have nominated Bairegoda Ellitirili. I saw him sitting, Jairaj Bairegoda. So we have, he was sitting right here, he must have gone. So we have nominated one officer from the Karnataka Udyog Mitra who can facilitate these kind of issues for the women entrepreneurs. Second thing is there are several associations, women. If you are a member of those associations, these associations, they have their own members who will come along with you to the bank and, you know, talk to the manager and try to get you a loan. But these are all, as we said, personalized activities. Systems have not come in place. PM talks of Mudra scheme and stand alone, stand up and all that.
Almost since 5 years they are talking.
There is a problem. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಬೈರೇಗೌಡ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಏನೋ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್.
ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಎಲ್ರಿಗೆ ಸೇರಿ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಆಗಿದೆ ಈ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್.
Please meet Bairegoda ji. He is the women's man, and he will help you in the loan process.
I'd like to add to what the Chief Secretary has already said, just to supplement what she said, and since Mr. Soni was very insistent that I give you some indicator about what's happening in the vision document, this is one suggestion we've made, that we have women every district. We start with the pilot project in 1 or 2 districts and then multiply it if we find, predominantly managed by SHGs wherever possible, which will set aside the larger portion of their funds and resources for women. So the priority will be for women. This is one of the suggestions, and hopefully governments will pick it up. Thank you.
Wasn't that a wow session? Of course it was such an elevating experience, and it is said that empowered women will empower women, and they are here for this. Thank you so much, each one of you present here, and our sincere thanks conveyed to each one of them with this presentation to Ratna Prabha ma'am.
Yeah. So I should request ma'am to give it to, you know, Ratna Prabha ma'am.
Yes, Dr. A. Kaur.
Ma'am, please.
Ma'am, please. To
I think
ladies and gentlemen.
So you can give it to her and then you can, with your neighbor, and we'll tell your neighbor to give it to you. This is for you.
Ma'am, Renuka Chidambaram, to Srimati Vandita Sharma, to Dr. A. Kaur, Srimati Vandita Sharma,
we can change the book if you want. Yeah. Huh? Ma'am, you want this one or that? But we'll take a photograph. Acha, ek minute. Sorry, you come.
Srimati Ratna Prabha and Srimati D. Rupa.
This is for you, and we're getting one more for Madam Ratna Prabha. Ma'am, this is for you. Yeah, this is. Can we have a photograph? Ma'am, please.
Today morning we made a mistake. We have taken photographs with all the awardees.
Yeah.
There was no time.
Yeah.
opportunity. Thanks once again.
शोभा डे एक शोभा डे अच्छा आपको एक और दे रहे हैं शोभा डे.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is day 1, 3 sessions. And we now break for coffee and tea. Thereafter, it's time for expo visit. And please note, from 6 p.m. onwards, we have Karnataka Heritage Textile and Crafts Fashion Show.
1 minute, we'll have a selfie, so we'll remember this. Yeah,
I repeat, Karnataka Heritage Textile and Crafts Fashion Show, and entry strictly for delegates. Please note, for this fashion show, followed by dinner, entry strictly for delegates. Thank you.
Yeah, let's give the choice. I'm getting a selfie. Ma'am, just come here. We'll take a. अरे selfie का अलग ही मैम मजा है. Yeah. हाँ. 1 minute taking a selfie and then you can take it. Ma'am, please see this side. Sorry. Rupa, come. Come. Yeah. This side. Yeah. We'll have a.
You got all of them.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Really enjoyed speaking to you, ma'am. I'll just give you my card. We may look forward to working with you.